Eating food is something we do without thinking. It is something we have to do in order to survive. But the truth is that as the average consumer, we don't necessarily know how our food is made and how the food we eat impacts the lives of many. What we eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner can actually be the most political decision in a day. We live in a meat-eating, meat-loving culture that promotes the consumption of meat, starting from when we learn about the food pyramid in health class. The meat industry contributes $894 billion to the US economy, and the industry spends close to $10 million a year for political campaigns and $6.9 million into lobbying the federal government. The USDA has battled over the food pyramid since the 1990s because the meat industry does not want the recommended servings for meat to be low. The industry also has power over the media. Nina Teichlotz is a journalist that promotes cheese, butter, and meat. She has written for the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and has done TED Talks. To those that try to question meat eating habits, the meat industry fights back with scientific methodology. The Nutrition Coalition is a non-profit organization that is dedicated to promoting national nutrition policy, but is backed by Enron. Academics and health professionals tried to include sustainability in the 2015 DGA dietary guidelines, but they lost the battle.
A recent report cites agricultural production and consumption as a major contributor of greenhouse gas emissions, which is linked with climate change. They scrutinize the lack of attention this sector has received, stress that there is insufficient policies, political will, and a lack of awareness in society. They scrutinize the overall leadership within the climate change movement because the impacts of agricultural production have been downplayed. Certain practices and different animal species yield different levels of emissions and intensity, but combined they demand extensive resources for land, water, and energy inputs. Other concerns in this sector include the conditions that the animals are raised in, the use of antibiotics, water consumption, and contamination from agricultural production. Some of these issues are being addressed with mixed results, such as voluntary practices and new technology. However, solutions tend to favor an overall reduction in demand for meat and dairy consumption. The EPA states that the agricultural sector is responsible for 9% of global emissions, and they acknowledge agriculture as a driver of greenhouse gases. However, other research suggests that a more realistic number should be around 14%. In this light, conflicting reports may create confusion and perhaps limit increased societal awareness. A further complication related to this issue is that there are many projects developed through the Food and Agricultural Association aimed to help rural and poverty-stricken people find economic solutions through agricultural production.
Many environmental groups are not doing their jobs in adequately addressing this issue. For instance, if we visit the US EPA's website and find their What You Can Do page, we see that in the steps they outline to reduce greenhouse gases, not one mentions reducing meat consumption. The documentary film Cowspiracy takes on this issue as well, and the filmmakers claim that Greenpeace, Sierra Club, Oceana, and more are all relatively quiet on the topic. Thankfully, not all environmental actors are guilty of this. Many, such as UNEP, PETA, and the David Suzuki Foundation, address the link between greenhouse gases and meat consumption explicitly. However, the question remains, why isn't the meat industry addressed as one of the primary producers of greenhouse gases in the media and by the government? There exist many theories. Bob Bailey, the lead author of a study performed by Chatham House, says that governments and policymakers feel that trying to change diets is too complex a challenge and risks backlash for intruding on people's lifestyle choices. Furthermore, Michael Pollan, best-selling author and activist, theorizes that environmental groups won't touch the subject of meat eating because they focus grouped it and it's a political loser. Additionally, the filmmakers of Cowspiracy discovered that environmental groups are concealing information about animal agriculture because it will harm their public image and sponsorship. Many people are under the impression that the biggest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions are CO2 emissions from cars and motorized vehicles, when that is not the case. As concerned citizens, We feel that government agencies and environmental organizations have responsibilities to shed light on this issue and implement solutions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions due to agriculture. In essence, there exists a power imbalance between the meat industry and consumers, causing mixed messages, conflicting reports, and a noted lack of attention on this issue from certain governments and environmental groups. This can leave us feeling powerless. However, we gain power by the choices we make every day.